Welcome to the Love We Share for Entrepreneurship-Podcast, where we dive deep into topics around business strategy, female empowerment, and entrepreneurship education. We do this by sharing real stories, lessons learned, and useful tools that can help you follow your entrepreneurial path, make you smarter, and enable you to be more innovative. My name is Marushka and Chanél, and I'm happy to be your host for this podcast. Thank you for listening and watching. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my content, as it will help a great deal of spreading the message.
Welcome and happy Women's Day. Back on the Love We Share for Entrepreneurship podcast. And today I'm here with Dr. Marushka, Soobben, and Chanél Willemse, the founders of Trichome Biotechnologies, and also you're hosting a podcast called Proteins and Profits, where you give insights on STEM, proteins, one of your topics that you're touching on, academic life and entrepreneurship. And you do quite a bit of content also on the social media channels that you're active on. And in one of your latest posts on your company LinkedIn page, you wrote, "We don't just do science, we share it." Since you are both very passionate about making science clear, engaging, and useful. And Marushka, you reached out to me, that was September last year, and you said, hey, I found you on the Tech Tribe website as one of the mentors. And a quick backstory on this, because I think it shows beautifully how previous actions or engagements can create a long-lasting impact. In 2021, I worked on a wonderful Femme in Tech cohort who completed the Tech Tribe Accelerator and pitched at the South African Innovation Summit in Cape Town. And that's thanks to LinkedIn and my activities on this platform. I got to train and to mentor them. And then they added me on their website. I didn't even know this, to be honest. And then you found me on this platform. So thank you so much for reaching out. And to all the listeners out there, please never underestimate the power of networks, of engagements, of reaching out to people. You never know where it leads to. So now it leads to us being here today and recording this podcast and diving a bit deeper into your founder story. Welcome, Marushka and Chanél, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. And I think I would like to start off with this day, because it's Women's Day. And I wanted to find out, how are you planning to spend your Women's Day? And if it means anything to you, like, what does it mean to you?
Sure. Well, we're starting off our Women's Day with this podcast, which I think is really cool because it's all about female entrepreneurs. So that's really exciting. And then hopefully we're going to go get a coffee together and have a bit of a chat afterwards, because it's, I think, also about spending time with your fellow females, fellow women, and building those connections and those relationships as well.
Yeah. And then it's going to be family time afterwards.
Family time. Yeah.
Family time. Yeah, that's also what my plan is for today after this recording. I think people ask me, like, when are you actually doing a podcast? Because working full time or doing a business like you do, right, and hosting a podcast is quite a lot of time that you put in it, in preparing it, in making sure that everyone who is here is in a good space and there's interesting questions being asked. So sometimes it needs to be on a weekend, but then afterwards we spend time with family. So I was actually super happy when you reached out, Marushka, and asked, to kind of engage more and for us to dive into your founder story, because I don't know a lot about you yet. But to be honest, I always imagined this podcast to bring together female founders from different spheres and different types of backgrounds. And also, I think it's quite interesting because you took the route of founding your business from academia. And I think this brings its own challenges, juggling research and business. And there's still, I think, too few spin-offs coming from the academic world, even though it brings such a huge potential because you are doing intense research on a specific problem, or even more problems that might be there and that can be solved. So we need to bring those solutions to the market, I believe. But how has it actually been for you to fill these different roles in the past? And you might also tell us a bit more now on Trichome Biotechnologies. What is it all about? What is your business?
Yeah, sure.
So should we start with Trichome? What is Trichome?
Yeah. So Trichome Biotech is something that started a long time ago, but Trichome Biotech itself actually only officially laid its foundation at the beginning of this year. And Marushka and I are the co-founders. We've got 3 different divisions in the company. We've got our services division where we offer lab R&D services for companies and academics. And then we've got our educational services that we're just starting with now. So that's also a very exciting thing that we're developing. And then our last one is our innovation division, which has really been the core of everything that we've tried to do with Trichome since the beginning. So yeah, that's a little bit about what we're doing. With the innovation division, we're starting with our newest innovation is with whey protein. So yeah, that's kind of the direction we're going in at the moment.
So proteins is one of your one topic that you're working on.
That's our core to the business is protein.
Yeah.
Everything is basically based on proteins. Our services division, our innovation division. I mean, with education, we try and do science communication about proteins as well. So.
And did you both have that passion before you started working on Trichome, or how did you actually meet as founders?
So we met at WITS. We were put together on a project by our supervisor. I was doing my PhD and Chanél was doing her master's. And we were put together on a project. And then we were like, this looks kind of cool. And then we went on a Lesotho trip together for our projects. And we basically kind of just got to know each other there for like, I don't know, a week. And it was really nice that we went up onto like mountains. We saw eagles. We had picnics.
It was incredible.
It was like a really
magical, actually.
Yeah, it was like a magical experience. And we just got to be away from civilization and just be together and really just nerd out together.
Yeah.
So that was like really fun. And and then we found that we had a lot in common and actually pretty much like the same person.
Literally, duplicates.
But we think in also such different ways that it's really good for the business because we're not always just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We're like,
we challenge each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's important.
Kind of how we met, and then we kind of decided literally a month later we started Trichome.
Yeah, and that was a few years ago. So Trichome has been something, it's been building for quite a long time.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, that's when we first registered. Yeah.
Nice. And since now you're both in academics and or in academia, so the question that I asked initially is like, how do you juggle these 2 roles? And I think you can maybe answer for yourself first, and then let's go back into the actual business and what is it that you're doing.
So I think we're quite privileged that we have people in our lives that are very understanding, firstly.
Yes.
And that we've chosen the paths that we've taken, we've made sure that they can, work with each other, in sync with each other.
Yeah.
So with our PhDs and postdocs and the academics that we do, we make sure that it kind of fits in line with what we're doing with Trichome. So we've got a partnership with the WITS University as well. So we're doing our services division through there. So all of the things that we're doing kind of merge together.
Yeah, they're nicely interlinked with one another. And in fact, the fact that we did our academics first, it helped us to build relationships with the people that are now huge influencers in our business as well. So in a short answer, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But I think if like Marushka said, if you've got the right people supporting you and if you're doing it with the right people, I'm so grateful to have Marushka by my side, both for my academics and the business, because I think we both support each other so much in that regard. And really it comes down to having the right supports because it's difficult to do by yourself.
It is. And it's really difficult to juggle all of these things because you're working 8 hours a day and then you're working on the business, plus you're doing the social media. So you have to really be efficient with your time and manage your time properly. But I think we're getting pretty good.
I think we're doing decent.
It's something that naturally fits with our personalities because we don't just like to focus on one thing and just do that one thing. with entrepreneurs, you have to do everything. You
Yeah.
have to be like the marketing, you have to
Jump
do the
around.
sales, you have to do it all. So,
Yeah.
and we enjoy doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
And it's also because when you do choose the research route, right, you have to work so differently sometimes. I mean, there is a lot of research, obviously background work, but then about trying things out, doing something completely different to others. I've always found that the challenging part about juggling the research and the academic world and delivering like a piece of work for the thesis, like it was so different to actually testing things out and quickly asking. The research part about speaking to people, conducting interviews, that was that part. But then writing it up and trying this literature review and stuff, it was so different. So how did you feel about that?
Well, I think what academia does well is that it teaches you to be curious. And that helps a lot with building a business and not necessarily thinking that just because everyone's doing something one way, that's the correct way of doing it. We're always thinking about, okay, but what's a different way that we can try and figure it out? Because with experiments in the lab, I mean, you constantly have to troubleshoot the whole time, and you have to think innovatively. You can't, things aren't just as they are on paper. You can't just follow an experiment and think that things are going to work out. So that has been a great thing. But on the flip side, I think academia also teaches you to be very precise and perfect, and you can't be like that in a business.
You have to just do things. You have to get things done.
Make
Whereas
quick
with
decisions.
academics, you're like, oh.
Yes.
Right.
So it was tough in the beginning, I think, to kind of separate your brain in that regard. But if anything, I think it's helped strengthen us to how we're able to think and grow the business at the moment. So it's been good.
To be independent, to think of new things. I mean, I think you need novelty if you're going to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Well, you need to be able to see the gaps where, and to fill them. And that's, I mean, academic teaches us to do that. With literature review is all about finding the gaps there.
Yeah.
What's around, and then
the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I think it helps a lot with problem statements and just being able to find what needs to be done and then doing it. Academics and entrepreneurship.
And then doing it. Yeah, I think that's an important part, right? Just doing it and getting into it. But what was there for you? Like, was it the idea first of you wanted to do something together and work on something? Or was there a specific project that you felt like, oh, but we could do this together? And then you started thinking about transforming whatever you're doing into the business.
So as Marushka mentioned, we actually started the company while we were in Lesotho on our first trip. Well, that's not where we officially started it, but that's where the idea came, because we were at that point working on cannabis in our academics. And then we had this one lady that we met there. She was so incredible. And while we were driving the one day, she kind of turned around. Marushka and I were sitting in the back seat. She turned around and she looked at us and she's like, so when am I getting the business plan? I'm like, what? We're like here for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
She
saying?
runs like a multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical cannabis company.
Yeah. So it was like a big deal for us,
Yeah.
We
And she's like willing to, she's like, I'll help, be willing to like help you guys out. And we know if we had to call her up now and say, hey, can you help us out? She would.
She'd be more than willing.
Yeah.
So just having someone be there to like kind of push us a little bit and be like, come on, where's that business plan? Why is it not in my lap already?
Yeah, what we thought was like a dream was like, oh yeah, this would be a cool idea, became something that was reality.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh wow, this is actually something that's quite feasible, that we should actually just sit down and think about it and do something. So it's both what we want, it's both what we naturally gravitate towards. And
yeah. And at that point, we were still going to, so then the project came first, the idea came first with cannabis.
Yeah.
So we developed, our company was registered as Trichome Biotechnologies, and that's when we did the whole cannabis thing. And then as the years progressed, we realized that we wanted to shift a bit and to move into something that we feel would have a greater impact.
Yeah.
And that's when we rebranded to Trichome Biotechnologies. And in that case, the business came first and then the ideas came. And since.
Yeah. So that frame of basically like the business, and now what can you actually think as part of this business? So it was forming because you gave yourself the allowance to actually think bigger in terms of also the name of the business. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it was quite scary, to be honest. When we started rebranding and we thought, okay, now we're moving away from cannabis, because now you've got a company that's registered. Like we've got the company. So now, now what do we do? And that challenged us a lot, which was so cool.
Yeah.
We had to think about things completely different. It's like we had to take the whiteboard and just
And then we just optimize and optimize and optimize. So we literally would like sit down at my place on my carpet, and we'd be wrapped up in blankets. We have food. We're on our laptops, and we're like, hey, we're like, why are we doing this? Okay, and then how
Then
can
we
we
start researching,
and then we just brainstorm.
Yeah, we'll say ideas. We'll be like, no, that doesn't make sense. Or wait, you've got something there.
And what can we specialize in? What are the things that we are, pros at?
Yeah.
What makes us special, basically, and centering our business around that. What are we passionate about? What do we want to solve? And really getting into the problem and the problem that we're solving.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to solve a problem, so we need to be passionate about our problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think I can already sense that now this type of teamwork, it just opens up such a lot. And I think solo founders, they realize, like, I wish I could find someone, right, that I could actually challenge myself with all the time. But yeah, it's beautiful that you got to know each other through this context.
Being with two people, because when you're by yourself, a lot of second guessing, but when you've got someone to bounce ideas off of, it really helps with the business. I mean, we learned a lot in the last 2 years, and that got us to this point where we feel quite confident about where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that your founder story is also closely linked to Lesotho, because that's where I kind of dived so deep into entrepreneurship support, because I spent a year in Maseru as a volunteer between my bachelor's and master's. I'm not sure if I even talked about this, but now that I'm hearing like Lesotho has a meaning to you, that mountain kingdom, it's a great place to be, but you also have lots of time to think, most definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of wide, mountains and also like waterfalls. It's a beautiful place to spend time at. So just a bit of promo now to, tourism in Lesotho. Go and check it out. But now, and let's go back in time a bit and talk a bit more about your entrepreneurial journeys. Like growing up, what did you want to become, and maybe also why? Like, did you have a specific dream job in mind, or like when did you kind of make the decision, let me go into academia? Maybe Chanél, do you want to start talking about your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I feel like Marushka and I are like we're on the two opposite spectrums of what we wanted to become when we grew up and how we kind of got to the same place, actually. But for me, ever since I was small, I had no idea what I wanted to become. I was like, there's so many options out there. How can you just choose one thing to do? How do you know it's the right thing to do? I jumped around from wanting to become a magician at some point. Then I wanted to become a protester. It went into medicine, and so it was really all over the place. And at the end of the day, the way I actually ended up in the place where I am and in science is I was for a very long time, and I think it was a lot because of family pressure, being pushed into the medicine direction. And we went and we did those aptitude tests, and they told me like, that's what I should do. I should become a plastic surgeon. And I was like, okay, let's start this journey. And I didn't get in for medicine. So I tried to do science first. And I think it was at least 4 years that I tried. There were like these tests that you can do, that you can transfer into the medicine program at the university. I tried, I would pass all the tests, everything would be fine, but I just wouldn't be selected. It just felt that no matter what I did, it wasn't, I don't know, like what my path was going to be. So I just kept on studying. My mom is a very big advocate for studying, and she's definitely my biggest cheerleader and the person that's pushed me as far as I've gotten. And it's like really thanks to her that I ended up studying as far as I did and going into my master's, meeting Marushka, and then studying further into my PhD, because I never would have thought that for myself. And I'm so glad that it happened that way. And that's just, I think, trusting the process and knowing that there are people that care about you. And if you just try your best and your hardest, your life it will be fine.
Yeah.
Like things will work out the way. Yeah. So that's how I ended up here.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And how about you, Marushka? What is the
Well,
opposite way of going
Yeah.
into it?
it was the opposite way. I mean, we both had that support from our parents, though. So our parents are very supportive, especially with anything that we want to do. They're like, yeah, you can do it. Why can't you do it?
Exactly.
Other people do it. Go do it. You'll be good at it. And they do. They are like very supportive. They're like, oh, you girls are so smart. Like you guys can do this. And having that support really just, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to. I don't think I would be at the place where I am today if it wasn't
Yeah.
for that support, like the family support,
For sure.
and also like the support of each other. I
Yep.
would not be able to do this alone. that would be impossible. But yeah, when I was younger, like I always had a curious kind of mind. My parents even like bought me a book about this girl that asked why, because I just always asked why when we used to be long.
Why?
I was that child. When we were on long car rides, like I used to be the one that used to keep my dad awake, because I would just ask him a bunch of questions like, why is that thing flashing red? Why are there lines on the road? What does electricity come from? And I was just asking like all these questions. So I always wanted to be a scientist, any type of scientist, to be honest, like astrophysics or, geography or something, like anything. I just always wanted to be a scientist, but I always had, I think, an affinity for biology. I just gravitated towards that more. And I think it's also because of my one high school teacher. She just made it so easy to learn. And it just became something that was just so natural. And yeah, and then I became a scientist. I went to the open day. I was like, I want to do this degree when I was like young. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do that at WITS. And then I did that at WITS. And then I was in microbiology and biotech. And then we moved around a bit during our thing. And then I actually ended up in a place where I didn't think I would end up, which is protein biochem. But I think I'm so glad I did. I think it's my favorite part about biology now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Nice. For those who don't know what WITS is, like WITS is a university in Johannesburg.
It is in South Africa.
In Africa.
In Africa, actually. So yeah, no, it's been great.
Okay, so did you also know that you wanted to go to WITS, or is it that you signed up for a couple of universities and that's just the interesting, like, or were you living close to the university and you just thought, let me just go there? Or?
I mean, my whole family kind of went to WITS. So it was kind of just like, I'm also probably going to go to WITS.
Yeah.
And also it's like a top university. So like, especially in that our family. So I applied there, but I also applied everywhere else because like, just in case I didn't get in. But yeah, I think WITS and UCT were UCT is University of Cape Town, were like my top options.
Yeah. For me, it was, I kind of applied everywhere.
Yeah.
I think if I could have chosen where to go in the beginning, but just for convenience, it would have been UP, which is the University of Pretoria, just because I stayed in Pretoria. But both my parents didn't study, so I had no frame of reference, like what's I don't know what good universities or not, or how to even apply for things, or how to look at, I had no idea. So I literally applied at every single university in South Africa. I applied for a different degree at every single university, coming back to not knowing what I wanted to do. Yeah. And then at WITS, I applied for science. I got in for, I think, like law. I got in for, obviously, science. I got it, like, there were so many different things. And then when the choice was in front of me, I had to be like, okay, now you actually need to choose. What are you going to do? And then that's when I thought, okay, science, then medicine. So I went to WITS, and it was terrifying because Pretoria is an hour away from Johannesburg, where WITS is. And I had to travel with a train and then a bus in itself. And it was just so scary, but I managed.
So you did like commute to the university at first before you?
Yeah, because I didn't have a license, so I couldn't drive myself. And then at some points I had a little apartment in Joburg, but that wasn't my favorite because you're alone. Your whole family's in Pretoria, which is far. So I ended up more recently, I'd actually say, but at some points I moved back during COVID time to Pretoria. Then I would just drive. At least at that time I had my license. And then when I got married recently, we moved in a little bit closer, like between Pretoria and Joburg. And yeah, now I just drive in whenever I need to go.
Cool. And you did touch a bit about or on this already, but when did you actually know, or do you know already, that the entrepreneurial path is meant for you? Yeah.
No, definitely. I don't think we'd want to do anything else.
No, because literally we studied and then we actually both left academics for a little bit. And I actually wouldn't have met Chanél if I had just carried on.
Yeah.
Like I needed to go and work for a year and then come back. And then she actually was going to carry on with the masters. And then she's like, no, maybe I should,
Yeah.
because we both actually came back because we got funding.
Yes.
And then we're like,
I mean, might as well,
Yeah, of course, use that opportunity.
Exactly.
And I was at a toxic environment. So I wasn't enjoying my workplace. And yeah, I was just like, might as well. And then we met each other and it was like the best thing ever. But if I had just carried on with academics, because we were both like unsure, do we want to stay in academics? Do we not want to stay in academics? And then, you just feel restricted also when you work for somebody else. Because you have all these ideas and you want to implement all these things. And it's just easier to do that when you have your own company.
Yeah, scarier.
Yeah, it is scarier.
But I've always known I wanted to build something of my own. Like I've always known that. And I didn't know what. I don't know what it was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to work.
But it was going to
happen.
Mm-hmm.
And both my parents were also entrepreneurs. In fact, I actually thought about the other day, I think most of the people in my family are entrepreneurs. Like they all have started their own thing. So I think it's kind of been bred into me somehow, so
it's in the blood.
It's in the blood. Yeah. But I literally wouldn't change anything about it. It's the best career choice I could have made.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if anyone in my family is entrepreneur. But I'm also like the weird one.
Yeah.
So.
And how many hours do you spend in the lab?
Ooh.
Oh, it just depends, to be honest. I think it happens in phases. So some months you can be like, oh, I'm barely in the lab because you have to wait for something to happen. Are you waiting for results? Are you waiting for, things to come? Like, what's it called? Consumables and stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's just like really dependent. But sometimes you can spend up to 12 hours in the lab per day.
Yeah.
14 hours.
Literally.
Sometimes we spend like a weekend there.
It happens very often. So it is a bit like weird hours. I mean, for me, just this past week, literally for 2 days in a row, I was there for 12 hours. And then the third day I was there for like 5. So that was a good day. So it depends. You kind of have to, because you can try and guess how long an experiment is going to take you, and then when you start it fails, and then you have to redo it. So now it's your choice. You can either stay here and work harder, everything's ready, or you can go home and come back another day and think if there's one thing we don't like doing, it's wasting time, because our time is so precious and there's so many things so limited. And we've got so much that we need to spend our time.
So it must be efficient on the way up at work.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, efficiency is good all the time, of course. But sometimes it needs also that creative outbreak and going out and kind of like feeling that you give yourself the time to think, because you need that active part and you need that strategic part sometimes. That's at least what I see in the entrepreneurial work that I've been doing, but also with other founders that I've worked with. Is there a specific story about the name of your business that you want to share? Or is it just that you needed a name and then you just put it down? Or is there a specific meaning to it?
We actually debated this for quite a while. We were just sending ideas just on WhatsApp and we're like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And we did it for quite a while. And I can't remember what our other ideas were.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember what.
Trichome Tech really stood out, and then we were like, yeah, that's the one.
As soon as we heard it, we're like, that makes sense.
Because we were just talking. We had just analyzed the trichomes in the lab or in the cannabis, under the microscope, and we were like, oh, Trichome, and then like technologies, because we were like working in tech at that time. And it's just like the alliteration was there.
Yeah.
And there were no other Trichome technologies in South Africa, like we're registered in South Africa. So we're like, okay, cool. So we checked if the name was available on CIPC, registered, and that was like the name that kind of just stood out to us. But actually there's like a story with our name. So we know that, like, you register it in South Africa. We know that we're allowed to trade in South Africa as Trichome Technologies. But we are aware that there are other Trichome technologies in the world. There's one in the US about seeds. There's one in the UK about something else. And there's one in India, I think.
Yeah.
But because we're not trading in those countries, we can use Trichome technologies because they're only based in South Africa. And then this guy messaged us and was like, you guys have stolen our name, and he was like harassing us on all these platforms. He was like, come for you guys. And we were like, whoa, this is a bit intense. We're not trading in your country, and if we ever did, we would change the name that we're trading with. So that was quite interesting, but we like knew the law, we knew our rights, we just didn't ever engage or respond to him, to be honest.
We're not interested in stuff like that,
Again, nothing else to do.
And nothing happened. You just got the message.
No, nothing happened.
What can you do? We're in our rights.
Yeah.
But anyway, changing the name regardless, just because
that had nothing to do with why we changed the name. We just changed it to biotech because we're predominantly in biotech.
Yeah.
And it just like kind of speaks more to what we do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, nice. I'm glad that you found your name for the business. And I think you touched a bit about what I was also going to ask about, like when considering, okay, this is an actual business. So you talked about the lady that pushed you in Lesotho, and like when is the business plan coming? And there's potential that I see here. So why don't you also because I can maybe see potential in you as business owners, but was there anything else also like intrinsically motivated, like let's just create a work environment for us? What was there something else that you want to add on the story of what motivated you to consider this being a business?
I think people saw a lot of potential in us, especially when we had applied for GAP in 2022. We were actually finalists for the biosciences division, and a lot of people said that like you girls have what it takes to make it through this, as long as you stick together. You girls have a good energy and synergy, and I think that's something that's really important.
And we persevere.
Yeah.
Which is a very big thing. I think Marushka and I have applied throughout our lives, is we're not someone that gives up on something. We can redirect, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we don't give up. And I think that's a big thing with being an entrepreneur. So I think it's a combination of Mel was definitely the lady in the Susie. She was definitely one of the pushers. Yeah. But the combination of that, our family, our personalities, it's been a combination of many different things.
That's amazing. I can feel that energy too. So keep on doing what you're doing, ladies. It's wonderful. And let's dive into the next part of personal growth. Like you talked about what your work day life looks like at the moment, but is there anything that kind of like a recent story that you just want to share with the listeners where you felt like, okay, this is really this type of business that I'm doing, or something insightful that happened in your business that kind of shows what your business life looks like?
Yeah, I think it's so hard to describe what a typical day would look like because every day is so different. But generally, we start our mornings with a scrum session.
Yeah.
So it's just quick. We meet, we'll talk about what are the action items that we need to tackle, short term, long term. And I think we also always set goals for ourselves. And we kind of like map it out, if the end goal is getting to a certain place, like even if it is something like just finding clients, what are the routes, that need to get to that place? And then we delegate, we see who can do what, we do feedback sessions. So that would be a very quick morning scrum. But then we always use Trello. So we manage all of our projects, our clients, our employees, everything is on Trello. So we're very organized, which I also think is very important because it's easy to kind of just be like, oh, I've got this idea, let's do this. And then
And just falls
it
away.
just falls away. You never speak about it again. And we're not like that. We're like, okay, we spoke about this idea. Now let's really think about it.
We're very intentional in the things that
Yeah.
we do. So that's why we use Trello. I mean, we use agile methodologies just to like manage the company just in general. Because I mean, it's got its retroactives. We speak about what we're going to be doing each day, what we've done for the week, how can we improve? What should we be doing? And it just helps us to grow the company.
Yeah.
And when it comes to company growth, because you talked about working with other people, do you already have a team? Are you working with other freelancers, or is it that the partnerships that you've built, there's people that work on that specific project, and that's how you also form smaller teams? So how does that work?
So we kind of work with contractors. So basically people like invoice us. So also just keeps the paperwork just a little bit leaner on our side. So we've got partnerships with Ubu Bio as well as Wits University. And Ubu Bio is an accelerator program and an incubator in Cape Town for biotech startups. And they've basically taken us on, and they give us all the mentorship that we need, basically. That honestly so helpful.
Yeah.
I would recommend that if anyone is in biotech, that they go to Ubu Bio and get assistance from them, because they're honestly amazing. And we've also got our partnership with Wits, and then we work with contractors, with professional contractors that have like the MSc, their PhDs, that are certified to like work in the lab. And so like the team technically, on paper is just the two of us, but we kind of outsource
most of the project to the contractors, and then they just work in the labs
That's
that we
our
now
labs.
have. That's our labs at Wits.
Yeah. And then you are closer because you actually see each other while you're working together. So that's nice.
And
we see each other a lot.
We see each other all the time, and we also talk all the time. But even for our employees, I mean, we ask them to keep record on Trello as well when they do the projects, because we want to have real-time updates on what's happening, what's the progress.
Both sides. Just work closely, our partners.
And just out of curiosity, so the tech tribe, was it just that you did some like, let me check what's in there, or were you looking for specific mentorship, or what was the point where you thought, let me just browse, or like how did you get to the tech tribe accelerate, if you still remember, Marushka?
I do remember. So it was the SA Innovation Summit, and we were going to pitch that with one of the innovations that we had. And basically, we got in for the competition. We went, we pitched. And what I always do is before we go to competitions, because we've done quite a lot of competitions, where it's always like an opportunity to learn, basically. And I always go online onto the website, and I find out who's part of organizers, who's part of the teams, and I go and see like who's the VCs and everything, and I just go and like look through the website, and then I go and connect with people on LinkedIn. I see, who like what do we have in common? Is it someone that I should add to my network? And then I add a bunch of people, and I'll message them like I saw with you, like, oh, we really do like it'd be great to come and meet you. That's when I popped you a message, and it's like,
so sad that I was not at the South African Innovation Summit at the time that you were there. I think I was there like the year before, or maybe the previous 2 years. It was twice that I went. The first time I had literally like an actual role of training. I also even moderated one of the sessions, like that was the pitching competition part, and I invited the female founders that I worked with previously on stage so that they felt super comfortable, because they knew, okay, no, like I've created that space now, I'm good here, even though of course it's always like going on a stage and then knowing in the back of your mind, because maybe someone told you that actually 2,000 people could be watching because the tickets were sold. It's crazy, right? But at the end of the day, it's such a nice place to be. So for all those who are listening who haven't been to the South African Innovation Summit, or just not being involved in those networks, it's really a great place. And they always choose such wonderful locations where they host the innovation summits. So it's really, really nice. And it's also good advice, that you just shared with when it comes to prior work, to prepare yourself for an opportunity that you got into because you applied for it. Like first go and apply, then check out the people who are involved, and it makes it just so much easier to kind of build long-term impact and in relationships through a once-off activity that you did. So, and we never know where those lead us at the end of the day, right?
It's always helpful before we go to events just to see who's going to be around so that we can already say, hey, like, can we meet up for like 5-10 minutes see that you're going to be at this event and, just plan that beforehand.
Yeah. And some people don't respond. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's normal. I want to put that out there. Like if you are reaching out to people as well and they're not responding, that's normal.
That's okay.
But just like keep on reaching out, because that's, I think, how we've been able to come as far as we have, is because we're not scared to go and just reach out to people and talk to them and network. And and then just see like how you can work with different people.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Is there Trichome Technology something in Germany already registered? Did you check?
There's no Trichome Biotechnologies.
Yeah, not biotechnologies.
Yeah.
But Trichome Technology, I don't know.
There's no Trichome Biotechnologies around.
Yeah, so let's just hope that there's going to be lots of people listening to what you do and feel so inspired to reach out to you also from this side of the world. And we also still have a wonderful founder story planned with another founder in that industry. And I hope that, there's going to be some connections being developed through that. Next question would be like looking at your biggest learning curve in the business. Like, what was that for you?
I think for us, one thing that we had to really learn was to get out of that academic mindset. And that was quite a big learning curve for us, because like we mentioned before, it's like that perfectionist type of mindset where, you always feel like so scared to start something because everything has to be perfect before.
Yeah.
But you really have to get out of that for entrepreneurship. And that was like, I wouldn't say it was like a big challenge. Like we did naturally kind of do that, but we do still have this perfectionist type of mindset where it's like we're a little bit scared to start things that we're not super confident in.
Yeah.
Like calling people.
And we just had to push ourselves to do it and be comfortable with the fact that you will suck.
Yes.
In the beginning.
That's really hard to accept.
Like
that
calling people, you said?
Just as an example.
Like when you were calling people. Oh, okay.
Like when you start off
like with sales and things like that and trying to convince people, like us, and that can be really, really scary. So that we have to like really learn how to get into being used to failing, basically.
Exactly. And I've heard this quote, and I'm going to misquote it completely, but it said something like, if you knew that you were going to fail 100 times before you were going to get your yes, how quickly would you fail those 100 times?
Yeah.
And that's something that we keep on putting through our minds as well, is that like we are going to fail. Everyone fails. And fail quickly, get over it, get to the next thing,
Because that's how you get, to where you want to be faster at the end of the day. Because then you can also say, okay, this is maybe not for me, or this type of doing sales is not fitting to my personality type. I might need to change this, or I might need to ask my co-founders to rather do these type of things. And especially because you have, two different, you said you are quite alike, but I'm sure that there's something that you kind of feel like this is where Marushka is just thriving in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something for you that you want to, touch on? Like, what is it? What are the roles that you take inside your business?
So we're actually at the moment, we spoke about it the other day, that we're busy planning our organogram, because as our business has been growing, as I mentioned, Trichome Biotech, the foundation was only laid at the beginning of this year. And in the beginning, we were still finalizing partnerships, like just laying that foundation. And now that it's laid and we're at the point of growing the business, we've started outlining all of the roles that need to be fulfilled to make this business work. And that's where we've really started looking at what are our strengths and weaknesses, and where can we complement each other. And where do we maybe have to hire external talent to come in, because that's not something that we might be naturally good at, or that we just haven't trained at, So we are currently in that process of literally mapping out that organogram and figuring out what works for the company, like not what works for us, what's the best thing for the company.
Yeah, and I think it's a good strategy to kind of do, like, to take that time to look at what is it, because we have tasks, right, that we are just naturally good at, but we might not enjoy them. but we're just good at them. And maybe there's a specific time when you want to do this, but then there might be a point where you say, if I could give one thing away, then this would be it. And sometimes it's great if you can find a person that's just thriving in that and is just enjoying it so much, because it just brings more energy to the business and kind of makes it also more enjoyable for you to actually do what you do inside your own company, because you make the rules at the end of the day. You decide.
Scary.
Marushka, you said that you before you started the business, you also quickly went out of academia and did a job. Is there any experience that you gained at that job that is now helping you on your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I actually worked for a food tech company. So that's actually helping us with our innovation as well, because I was part of the food safety team. And I basically my job was to basically I was in charge of the OHS as well, but I basically trained everyone in all roles of the company. So that was my job. And so I basically learned all of the roles that need to, happen in the company, from QC, accounts, clients, basically everything, like factory, production, procurement, regulatory. So basically pretty much everything. So I think that really helped me a lot, especially now that we're going into that food tech kind of space. But also, I also worked for a software company. So I was the Scrum Master for that. So that's why we use Agile and those types of methodologies just to help with project management and stuff. So that really helped me as well. Also to learn how to manage people, how to work in a team. And yeah, and I was basically running the companies for my boss, because he had a bunch of companies as well. So kind of ran those. And I was
That sounds
hey.
like quite a lot of experience in a short space of time where you could actually dive in. But it also speaks to how curious you are as a person, because if you were not to dive in deep, maybe you are not given the chance to actually conduct these type of roles within the companies that took you on board for the time that you were there.
Yeah, good experience.
Yeah,
gave me the confidence
definitely.
to do. So I had to register companies for CIPC and all of that. So I knew how to do this stuff. So yeah, with Chanél as well. She's also
How handy.
So
yeah, that will definitely become handy at a point, right? Deciding. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
basically,
as soon as I got out of got out of university, I'm still in university. When I got out of school and I started university, I kind of started working straight away. I've always done something part-time, always. So I first started at a tutoring company, and I was there a tutor for a very long time. And I think that helped me a lot with standing in front of a camera, because we were always doing live streams. You always have to think on your feet when you're tutoring, because you're not just tutoring one-on-ones. It's a classroom full of individuals. And so that helps me a lot. But it was very, very part-time. I think I did that once a week. And then when my schedule got a bit more flexible, and it was also a bit more recent, I started at a vitamin company, and I was the general manager. So there I was a bit more full-time. And I also I basically just managed all of the divisions of the company. So it was a startup. So as you know, with startups, you've got 2-3 people in the company, and between the 2 or 3 of you, you have to make everything work. And I was that one person combining all of those things and taking it over. So I was involved with marketing, with sales, customer relations, going down to as simple as handling customer queries, stock take, the simple type of things, all the way up to developing new products in the vitamin space, doing product design. And so I loved that. And then I just decided to move full-time into Trichome Biotech. So it was just a natural move into ending that path and then starting more full-time on this one.
And you can already see that path leading you out of university and being fully focused on your business. Because
100%. Yeah.
I mean, now you're still sitting inside the building of the university, but there will be a time when maybe. Do you feel like the type of business that you do, does it require an office or a lab and office, or where do you see that business being located also? And is there any vision
I
for
think
for
that
that?
for right now, we'll always be working with partners because setting up a lab is extremely expensive.
Especially a
Extremely.
protein lab.
Yeah. The types of equipment that we have are like millions of rands. So if you can find a partner that you can trust and work with, then I think that's the best route to go. And that's where we are at the moment. And I think that we'll kind of see where things lead us.
Yeah.
Having an office would be amazing. I mean, we've got an office in Centurion, but having an office closer to the lab, it would be great. But at the same time, Marushka and I have always been quite flexible with being able to work wherever we need to be. So even when we're traveling to Cape Town for conventions and things, I mean, if it's a coffee shop, that's the office for the day. So it's as long as we put our laptops, we sort
We
it.
can work laptop and Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes also like office gets boring. I mean, I enjoy also being in different type of co-working spaces sometimes, and I'm so fascinated when I leave the space. Like just this week, we were at an event together, my husband and I, and the space itself, like it had 7 different levels, and there's so many different areas where you could actually sit and work, just having your laptop, of course. Then there was like a nice booth where you could sit with either 2 people or 4 people to have meetings. And I just imagined like one day maybe having a great podcast studio that, I can then choose and also change. So because of the change of scenery, there's so much inspiration that comes from just being obviously around people that you don't know yet, speaking to them. Because the reason why we were there, it was because there's an idea pitch kind of organization that hosts or brings people together from the African diaspora and kind of matches people with the same passion for bringing culture and business together. So they had a topic and they were just hosting it at that co-working space. And now that we went, we got to see that space, but also we got invited to, work there for a day for free, just to, explore. And I think I just enjoy being at these places. So, and there's a lot also in South Africa when it comes to co-working. There's quite a few franchises that have established there, and Centurion is more like the business kind of area in Johannesburg, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few. Sandton is, I'd say, more maybe the business area in Joburg specifically. But yeah, I mean, Centurion's also a big business hub for sure.
Okay, awesome. We would be moving to the next part, which is talking a bit more about the support network. So let's thank our supporters who opened doors for you that you were not able to open yourself.
So, I mean, I don't think we would say that anybody's really opened any doors for us, but we have worked with people that have helped us find the key, basically, to that door. So we have, we've networked with a lot of people. That's something that we do religiously, basically, is reaching out to people, finding out not how can they help us or anything, but what was your journey? What did you go through? So that we can also, avoid certain things or, look towards certain things. Be like, oh, that's an opportunity that we didn't, really think about. So we network with a lot of people all the time. And, we're so grateful for the people that are willing to help us and that are so receptive when we do reach out. Because, like we say, people are going to ignore you, but the people that do say, yeah, let's have a meeting. Let's talk about this. Let's, see how I can help you and how we can help each other. It's really helped us. And I think our parents have given us this confidence to go out and, that helps shape our mindset to, go and ask. If you don't ask, you're not going to get. So be confident, be brave, and just go and do it. But yeah, we had help, but I think it hasn't been a specific person that has really taken us through it. We've done a lot of this ourselves.
A lot we've done ourselves, and also a lot of it we didn't know what to do, which maybe took us a lot longer to figure out than other people that have obviously built up the experience and stuff. But one thing academia has taught us is how to do research, and we can do that very well. So, I mean, everything is on the internet if you just know where to look.
Yeah, you know where to look, right? And sometimes it's also just that you'll never know what a person can kind of do for you that will lead to the next whatever step you're taking. And you can always make a decision whether this is something that is worthwhile to kind of venture into or to explore a bit more. What I always found a bit tricky when it comes to building networks and kind of like keeping track is that there are so many great and inspiring people out there. Have you found a way like to kind of also structure your network or kind of like keep track of who you've been reaching out to? Maybe what is the next phase of, outreach? Is there any specific, I don't know, CRM system, but for networking that you have been using? Or is it just you going on LinkedIn and just seeing, okay, who has actually responded and let me just get back to them?
I think it's also, it's a little bit that, but also, when you're looking for something specific, like we know with our services division, we're targeting specific people. We know with our innovation, we're targeting specific people. And then when you find those people, looking at who they connected with and then connecting with those people as well. So in that sense, there is some strategy around it, but I wouldn't say
We have no official like system like CRM or anything. We don't have anything like that, but yeah, we reach out to people that think could be beneficial, for us speaking, with how we can help them and how they can help us. And then we meet and then we're like, hey.
And it is important to learn how that your time is valuable.
Yeah.
And that as much as, we can't just reach out to everyone, and similarly, that's why a lot of people don't respond because so many people are just reaching out to people.
And you can't say yes to everything as well. You have to know where to put your time into.
So you have to be a bit more specific in that way as well. But I think that we've shaped our minds. I don't know, maybe we do have some strategy that we just, but we don't even know we're using.
It's just not written down. It's in your heads.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what do you appreciate about entrepreneurship support, specifically targeting female founders?
So we think it's great that they support specifically for female founders. I think that it's fantastic. But Trichome hasn't ever been involved in programs that are specific to women. So even though I think those programs are great, we don't know too much about them because we've never been involved with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not really something that we've ever built our business around, I would say. We've kind of been like, we need to get from this point to this point. We're going to check what support we can get, but regardless of the support that comes our way, we're still going to get to that point. And if that means we need to do it independently, then that's the route we're going to take. So yeah, we're just here to kind of make our mark regardless. But I do think it's fantastic, but we personally haven't been involved with any of that.
Yeah, we haven't. Also, I don't really know of many of but I don't know if we've seen any opportunities because we get a lot of competitions and things like on LinkedIn and, things are constantly coming through out of all the community groups and stuff. And I don't actually recall seeing anything like specifically for female founders that
there might be out
that
there
popped up and that we were like, oh, this seems like something that we could be.
Yeah, but considering that we'd be the ideal market, for these programs and not having heard much about it, I don't know where they advertise it, who they market it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could think of some people that I could just share their profiles with you. So, because there's lots when it comes to STEM and women, sometimes also when like giving back to the younger generation of, females who might actually venture into the space where you are and acting as role models. So that's one of the elements I think where specifically for aspiring female founders, there's a lot of work, but also with schools, obviously. And then programs trying to actually open up funding opportunities, specifically targeting female teams also, so that the access to capital is kind of made available, because oftentimes there's still specific challenges when it comes to accessing funding, or because the rounds of, decision makers are mainly male and they might have specific, questions whether you might be super qualified or capable or whatever it is that they might actually have as prejudice in their heads to keep you or to kind of prevent you from accessing certain programs. So I think there's lots of work that is being done on making it more diverse. But you've also been part of a program recently, Marushka, where you were invited to a university to kind of engage with other scientists. So to engage and to kind of learn and to also expose yourself maybe and the expertise you have, sharing it in a podcast like the Naked Scientists. So is there anything that you want to share with the listeners on reaching out to opportunities like that and what kind of doors that can open?
I mean, I think my fellowship at the Naked Scientists was really fruitful, to be honest. Um, we've made so many connections and networks from that fellowship, and people that were just willing to help us with our company, with our innovation, university professors like from Cambridge and stuff. We've really also been able to build up our advisory board with professionals from there. So I would definitely recommend people to like go out and reach out to do as many programs. I mean, we've recently applied for a program to just upskill ourselves, just to do like some GMP training and that kind of stuff. It's always not just for the networking, but also just to build up those skills. So, I mean, now learning how to interview people, how to interview scientists, how to make content, how to make programs. It's like valuable skills that will help us in the future.
And how did you go about applying for it? Like, where did you find it? How did you kind of get into the program?
So I actually won it. So I didn't like apply for it or anything. So we went to a convention and Dr. Chris Smith was there, and he was doing a competition basically for PhDs to come on this trip and to win this trip. And so we did a competition. We basically like spoke about our research for a bit. Then we had to do a speech in front of like a ministerial dinner, which was like kind of scary because there were tons of people there, and we had to speak about our project. And they voted, and yeah, I ended up winning unanimously.
You were voted for. That's nice. I mean, sometimes it's also that, right? People giving you the voice and kind of like saying that I think this person should just go to this place, even though it had shitty internet. I must say, when I talked to you over over Zoom, at least I tried, to understand you, but it was really, really bad. So UK needs to improve on, spreading broadband internet and kind of making sure that people can also access and engage internationally from that place. But otherwise, how was the experience like? So building the advisory board, meaning that you chose specific people that you can then reach out to, or that were actually saying that let's be included, like, let me give you my voice for your website. So how does that work to get like together with the advisory board?
So, I mean, the people that we met and networked with, we basically like, show them like our company, what we do. And we have, because they're part of, I mean, so one was like in nanotech and working specifically with what we do. And another guy like runs pharmaceutical companies. And then one is a professor. So they all have their different skill sets and they help us with a specific part of the company. So it's more just when we need advice. If we get presented with something and we're just unsure, that person that we can go to that has the experience, that has the knowledge, and they just kind of give guidance. And they're like, maybe you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. And yeah, they're basically just there to guide us and to help us.
Now that we spoke about internet, you were just breaking on my side, but I hope that you're back. Yeah, it was just a bit blurry, but I think it should be fine. It should be fine. I can see you again. And do you have a specific mentor by your side that you have identified over the time that you can reach out more frequently, or do you have more like a wide network of people, of advisors?
So we don't have like a specific mentor, if I would say. Because we're incubated with Uber Bio as well, we've got the mentorship there for the different skills that we would need. So if you need something in marketing. So our mentorship isn't specifically like we've got one mentor and they're helping us with the company. It's specific on what we need and the mentorship that we need within that, what skill set that they have.
Yeah.
So because we've got Uber Bio, we can get all of the business help that we need from there. But also because we've got the professors and, people that are in biotech, they help us with that, the science behind it to make sure we're on the right track. And, basically anything that we ask, just to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, basically.
So you get all the answers from the networks that you've already tapped into. That's awesome.
For
Nice.
things that we're unsure about. And
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess also, sometimes we do reach out to people to give advice, and then we still have to kind of take that advice and you have to decide for
Yeah.
yourself. Because we have gotten advice and been like, how did we not even think about that? That's
Yeah.
great. And then other times we've got advice and been like, that's just
It
doesn't make
helps.
sense for
Yeah.
us. So you still have to make your own decision at the end of the day. You
Yeah.
can't just take any advice that comes your way.
And I think it's a good skill to learn as well. It helps you refocus on what you're actually doing. And, oh, no, I don't want that. And
Yeah.
that's also something that's important to know, what you do want and also what you don't want and what you're not trying to portray. But it's also good to know how you're coming across so that you're like, oh, somebody else is thinking that we're trying to do this, whereas we're trying to do this. So
Exactly, yeah.
it's always helps to even get
Yeah.
feedback that, like, oh, no, I don't really want to change that. But it's good to know how you're coming across
Yeah.
in somebody else's perspective so you can reshape the way that you want to be perceived.
I think one of the biggest skills also for founders, like to really be great founders, is to reflect and kind of always being open to kind of change things with that needs to be changed, but then obviously also sticking to really what you want to do, what you want to achieve, where you want to be, with who you want to go there. I think there's so many like decisions to be made on that, but I think being also thankful for someone actually being honest with you in moments where you might maybe not want to hear it, but later on you're going back to that feedback and saying that actually I think I can take this from that. But what you said also is that there might be feedback that you can't relate with because it just doesn't fit. It doesn't suit your path or your personality. And I think that development of knowing it's only possible when you have different people giving you feedback and being open to also hear and listen. Yeah, sure. And when did you last empower someone else? What did you do?
Actually, we had that
It was
meeting
recent.
yesterday.
Yeah, it was very recent.
Yesterday. So, I mean, we said that we're always reaching out to people to kind of help us, and we've got questions, and we really just appreciate when people,
Are willing.
are willing
Yeah.
to just help, even if it's just like a 5-10 minute, hey, reach out to this person.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks. So actually, we had somebody reach out to us and were asking us about our advice and our entrepreneurial journey. And they needed help within the cannabis industry, and they were like trying to break into that and need help with like regulations and all of that. And yeah, we basically we met with them and we helped chat with them. They sent us a bunch of documentation that we can like go through and just help them out. And
Yeah.
just paying it forward, the help that people have given us and
Yeah.
helping other budding entrepreneurs in the space. And it's nice to know that people are actually like reaching out to us. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's like, woo, now we're like the people that know things.
Even from academia, we've had some past students reach out to us and they'd say like, oh, they've seen us on our social media, like it looks so great what you're doing. Then you think, wow, like we had no idea that people are actually watching our things and people are relating to it and supporting it. Yeah. So it's I think whenever we have the opportunity to be able to give someone our time and our expertise and just our advice, we take it because we appreciate it so much. So it's important for us to help other people.
And you'll never know like what you can actually impact, but also what comes back at a later point in time. Because I've seen this a lot of times also with my mentorship. Like I'm learning so much from the people that I mentor, and I'm so grateful that even the space of where we get to chat and the deep kind of conversations that can come out of that, sometimes it sparks just a thought in your head that can lead to something else. So I think there's such a lot of power in giving back and also engaging and asking questions. But it's great that you because you have walked a path and maybe taken a few more steps, that you can just look back and say, actually, I figured this out. Let me just share it with someone. It's lovely that you're doing it and that you're open to it. Because I think there's also a lot of, in some industries, it's a bit more kind of tough when it gets to accessing information because it's highly regulated. more than others. And so if you have, done that research and kind of found out, okay, with this, there's specific things, especially in the cannabis industry, I think still coming up, there's lots of things happening. So yeah, that's amazing.
I think that's
And
something that we're passionate about is knowledge sharing.
Yes.
Because there's no point starting from scratch when somebody else figured it out. It's just a waste of time.
Exactly.
That's how humans have managed to, create community and civilization, is because we're like knowledge sharing, passing on that knowledge. And if we're going to stop doing that, then it's kind of pointless. Like it's like being in the lab and constantly trying to start. Whereas somebody's there and they can be like, don't use that reagent. It fails. And
exactly. Don't use that protocol. Do this. Like, why would you want to start from scratch? It doesn't make any sense.
And you should want to help. Like, you the people that are like, oh, if I suffered, then you should suffer through it too. But the whole point is I've suffered, so you don't have to.
Exactly. And if we all just thought like that.
Exactly.
Like how more improves and how could people walk forward so much quicker.
Yeah.
So we're very passionate about it.
Yeah.
As you can.
Yeah. And why gatekeep? especially because in science, you're building up on ideas of others, right? So gatekeeping doesn't really make sense because you're also not getting anywhere further. And you want to also see like what's happening when something is being solved, and then maybe some other types of products can evolve based on your findings, right? Because it's always taken into account, and it's quite an interesting thought to kind of see it that way, and to just sharing is caring, but it's also bringing you further in, bringing society further.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay. Let's share some business advice or something that you figured. Is there one piece of advice you could share with someone who is planning to start on their entrepreneurial journey? So they're still at the beginning. What would that advice be?
Yeah, I think we touched a bit on this previously. And it all comes back to don't try and do everything perfect. Don't think that you're going to know how to do everything right in the beginning. Like literally just do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. If you don't get it right, at least you're going to learn and you're going to be a step further or ahead than where you were. So it comes back to that fail fast, fail quick, and then move on to the next step. And don't be afraid to fail, and don't be scared to ask people for advice and to reach out to people. So you've got to get out of your head and you've got to execute.
Yeah.
That's the biggest piece of advice.
And what would you like to say to those who are currently experiencing a difficult time in their business?
Honestly, just to persevere through it. There's no way out but through. So, and speak to other people about it because they probably experienced it as well. If it's a problem that you're going through, somebody else has probably gone through it and they know how to get out of it, or they at least know like some coping strategies. Like some things you also just can't solve. Like you just have to, take it day by day. There's no point stressing and worrying about something that, you don't have more information about. So just take it step by step. Persevere through it. The whole entrepreneurship journey is going to be hard. Honestly, anything in life is hard, and you just have to choose which type of hard you want. Nothing is going to be easy. You're going to go through a tough time no matter what you do in your life. So might as well just do what you want and go through those tough times, and you just have to get through them. Because there's going to be a lot of times where you think, oh my goodness, is it like working? Should we like carry on? Or and that's why you have to pivot.
Yeah.
And just because you change something doesn't mean that, you should just like quit and go do something else now. Just find a way that works.
Yeah.
Be like water, basically.
Be like water. It flows. Yeah. And you never know where it flows. Like if there's something breaking, then, you might flow in that direction, but then you're getting back to the mainstream.
Just stop when it finds the rock.
Yeah, it goes around it.
Yeah. You'll find a way. Yeah, definitely. Cool, ladies. We're ending the podcast episode with 5 quick questions that you haven't seen in advance. So I would suggest maybe one of you can start answering and then the other person goes. So that, there's one person answering every time. So who wants to start basically?
So I'll maybe start with the first question and then Marushka can do the next question.
Yeah.
So you don't want to answer all of them?
I mean, it depends on the question.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see what the
Okay. So let's answer all of the questions, but then Chanél, you will always go first, right? And then Marushka goes. Okay.
Alright.
So let's go. Are you ready?
Ready.
Ready. What tool is critical for your business to function?
For our business, it would be our partnerships and the fact that we've got Uvo Bio and the mentorship that they give, and then Wits University, specifically the PSFRL. That's the unit in the at Wits that we use to have access to their lab. So it's the infrastructure. I'd say that.
Yeah, infrastructure in our network.
And network,
Without that, I don't think, and each other.
And each other. That's the most important.
Your base. Amazing. You set up a business dinner. Who would sit at your table?
Business dinner.
Yeah, that one's tough because I don't know if we'd have like anyone specific at the table. I think it would just be a group of
like real people with real problems and
curious minds and
people that want to engage and think about things and speak about big ideas. I mean, if it had to be like a famous person, I think maybe Richard Branson would be one of mine, but I can't really think of it. Yeah, like I wouldn't say there's anyone specific. It would just be people that would help inspire, encourage you, and maybe Marie Curie though. No, maybe not for a business dinner, but I just want to meet her.
Yeah, you can choose anyone, right? Anyone. So yeah, cool.
Good time.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to both be there. Yeah, definitely. The next question would be, what does success mean to you and what are you doing to achieve it?
Yeah, that's something, sure. That's a tough question, actually. Yeah. I think like I mentioned earlier that I always knew that I wanted to build something. I've always known that. So I think if that's something that my goal has always been, then I would relate success to building something that would last. Something with a strong foundation. That's what I'd say is success. Yeah.
Yeah. Building with a strong foundation and also just, going through with what you've planned.
Yeah.
So you've planned to do something, follow through with it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, just being able to give your all, even if it's just like, I read this quote, I was like, it wasn't a quote. It's probably a reel on Instagram. But it basically said, if you've only got 30% to give that day and you give your 30%, you've given 100%. So you give how much you can give within that day. And I think that's a pretty successful day.
Yeah.
As long as you're happy, you're peaceful. Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah.
I love your definition of success. I love it. I think I can also relate.
Yeah.
But I need to listen to that advice a bit more often, actually. If you had unlimited money in your bank account for a week, how would you invest it?
That's easy.
We know we're doing
easy. We've spoken about it.
Yeah?
Trichome. The idea for Trichome
in the long
run, our big goal has always been to be a company that invests in other companies.
Yeah.
We want to be an investment company. So we had unlimited funds.
Yeah,
for a week. That's what we do.
We want to make our other scientists' dreams come true.
Yeah.
The research, the knowledge that they have, there's so much potential that's around, and so many people that have the drive and, the knowledge, the drive, the skills. And we also, we've gone through this path and it's so difficult, and you really just need that assistance, and we want to be the people that assist.
Exactly. Financially, but also we've been speaking so much about advice and mentorship, and like literally take someone that we believe has the potential to take the company where it needs to go, and then helping them through those steps to get to a certain place. So if we could do that in a week's time,
that would be amazing.
That would be great.
All the biotech people.
Yeah, that would really be great.
Yeah.
So keep that list of companies that you feel like, okay, if there was that week coming, who could you then invest it in? And finally, what do you love most about entrepreneurship?
Every day is different.
Yeah. And you also get to choose when you want to be free and when
Yeah.
you don't want to be free. So like a normal 8 to 5 job, like you there from 8 to 5 and you have to be focused within those hours. Whereas the types of people that we are, like sometimes we'll, that day I'm going to be more focused between 6 and 10 at night. So you get to choose which freedom, like it's like you get to choose when you get to be free within the day, which I think like works a lot with my personality as well.
Yeah. And it's difficult, I think, for a lot of people to be able to juggle that time management, because sometimes you might, like go to the gym and then take the dogs for a walk and then go grocery shopping and clean the house. And then suddenly it's like 1:00 in the afternoon. You're like, oh, I haven't worked. But it's fine if you do those things, but you still need to put in the hours necessary to make the work, to progress.
You just get to choose when those hours are,
Exactly.
which is nice. So sometimes in the morning I'll be like super productive and I'll just work like the whole morning. But then other mornings I'm like, I'm just like, my brain's
I
not
just can't do
feeling
it right now.
So let me clean and do this and do
Yeah.
my laundry and, go get something from the shops. And then at 1:00 I'll start feeling like, okay,
Yeah.
I've got the spark and the energy. And then you do those hours then. Also just to be able to take those breaks in between.
Yeah.
Especially because we do so many different tasks and different skills at a different time. Sometimes you need that like 1 hour break in between from switching from marketing and sales into now accounting or something else. You just need that like little, whereas like with a full-time job, like it's hard to be able, although I guess you don't have to switch as much.
Yeah.
Because you're only doing one thing. But
it becomes, because your time isn't your own. And that's a very important thing, I think, with being an entrepreneur. Your time is your own.
And you get to be more efficient with it that time. So you work with your body and you work, in tune with yourself so that you can be more optimal. Because trying to force yourself to work when your brain's just not, you're just making, you're burning yourself out. It's going to spill over into the next day and you're just going to be tired for the whole week. So it's just not efficient.
And I also don't think that we believe in like, if you need to work this amount of time to prove that you've worked hard. It's more about efficiency and output. And what can you do in a certain amount of time? I mean, if you're giving me 5 hours to do something, then I'll take 5 hours. But if I've got 5 hours and you're like, you do it whatever, I'll only take my hour to do it and I'll probably give you the same result. So time is a big thing.
I can see. Thank you for spending the time with me here on this podcast. Thank you for being my guest at the Lauper Share for Entrepreneurship podcast. If you were to direct people to your channels, on where would they find out more about the work that you do, where would you like to direct them to?
So, I mean, we've got our LinkedIn page, which is Trichome Biotechnologies. We've also got our website, which is www.trichomebiotechnologies.com. And we've also got our Instagram page.
Yeah, so we've got personal Instagram pages, but that's also catered to science and entrepreneurship.
So I've got, like you mentioned, proteins and profits, and then Chanél has...
I've got chaos with Chanél, because that's life. It's just chaotic.
Nice. And you share beautiful content on these channels, so it's definitely worth checking it out. We'll put those links in the show notes of this episode, so you can just go below and check it out. And just a final last remark, we also have come up with a playlist recently, the Fanpreneurs playlist, and there's different songs recommended by people who are on this podcast, because I found it so interesting, because my aim is to bring founders together from the African and the European context. And obviously we have different tastes in music, but we all have these songs that kind of bring you through the day when you have a tough day in your business, motivational songs, something that kind of speaks to you as a person. So it would be great. You don't have to mention one now, but you can send it to me and I'll include that song in the playlist, and I'll also link that in the show notes. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
So remember that life is a story worth sharing. Continue to share yours with the world. And a big shout out to all those of us who follow the entrepreneurial journey. We need your valuable solutions to solve problems we're facing today and tomorrow. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Feel free to leave a comment and follow our social media channels that you'll find in the description. Keep well.